Welcome, and thanks for being with us today. Your commitment to enhancing your English abilities and bettering yourself is truly valued. That night felt completely normal at first, just like many other quiet nights when the street was already asleep and nothing seemed dangerous or unusual in any way. The Parker family lived in a small house near the end of the road, where the lights were weak, the trees were old, and people rarely walked after midnight. John Parker was the father, a man who worked long hours every day and often came home tired, thinking only about resting and spending quiet time with his family. Emily Parker was his wife, a gentle and careful woman who took care of the house and always tried to make their home feel safe and warm. They had two children, Anna, who was 12 years old and very sensitive to sounds and changes, and Tom, who was 8 and still believed that home was the safest place in the world. That night, they locked the doors, turned off the lights, and went to bed without fear, believing that nothing bad would happen while they were sleeping. But danger does not always come loudly, and sometimes it enters a house as quietly as a shadow. Emily woke up suddenly in the middle of the night, not because of a sound at first, but because of a strange feeling in her chest. The bedroom was dark and silent, and John was sleeping next to her, breathing slowly like always. For a few seconds, she stayed still and tried to calm her mind, telling herself that everything was fine. Then she heard it, a very soft sound coming from downstairs, like metal touching metal very carefully. Emily listened closely, hoping it was only the house making noise or maybe the wind outside. But the sound came again, slow and careful, and her heart began to beat faster because she knew it was real. Fear slowly filled her body as she realized that someone might be inside their house. Emily slowly sat up and looked toward the bedroom door, which was slightly open and showed only darkness beyond it. She held her breath and listened again, and this time she clearly heard footsteps moving downstairs. The footsteps were light, but they were steady, and they did not belong to anyone in her family. Her hands became cold, and her mouth felt dry as the truth became clear in her mind. Someone had entered their home while they were sleeping. She gently touched John's arm and whispered his name, trying not to make any noise. John opened his eyes slowly, confused at first, but his face changed when he saw fear in Emily's eyes. "There's someone in the house," Emily whispered, her voice shaking even though she tried to stay calm. John sat up immediately and listened carefully, feeling his heart start to beat faster with every second. The house was quiet again, but the silence now felt heavy and dangerous. John reached for his phone on the table, holding it tightly in his hand. He thought about Anna and Tom sleeping upstairs, unaware of what was happening below. "They're upstairs," Emily whispered, and the fear in her voice made John's chest feel tight. John nodded slowly, knowing that his first job was to protect his family. At the same time, Anna opened her eyes in her bedroom because she felt something strange, even before she heard any clear sound. The air in the house felt different, as if it was waiting for something bad to happen. She listened carefully and heard a small noise from downstairs, like drawers opening slowly. Her stomach tightened and fear spread through her body. Anna quietly got out of bed and walked to her brother's room. She opened the door just a little and whispered his name softly. Tom woke up slowly and looked at her face, immediately understanding that something was wrong. "Someone is in the house," Anna said quietly, trying not to cry. Tom's eyes grew wide, and his heart started to beat very fast. They held hands and stayed very still, listening to the sounds below them. Neither of them wanted to move because they were afraid that any sound could make things worse. For the first time, their home did not feel safe. The walls felt thinner and the darkness felt deeper. Fear sat with them in the quiet room. Downstairs, the man moved slowly through the living room, opening drawers and looking for anything valuable. His name was Mark, and his face showed tiredness more than anger. He did not come to hurt anyone, and he did not want trouble. He only wanted money because his life had been falling apart for a long time. He believed the house was empty because the lights were off and the street outside was silent. He worked carefully, trying to make as little noise as possible. But then he heard something upstairs. The sound was small, but it was enough to stop him. Mark froze and listened, his heart starting to beat faster. For a moment he hoped it was only the house, or maybe a dream, but deep inside he knew that someone was awake. Fear replaced confidence in his mind. He thought about leaving immediately, but his body did not move. He stood in the dark, listening to the house breathe. Upstairs, John slowly opened the bedroom door and stepped into the hallway. Every movement felt loud, and every step felt dangerous. The floor made a soft sound under his foot, and he stopped immediately. He listened carefully, trying to understand where the sound downstairs was coming from. Emily stayed near the bedroom door, watching him with fear in her eyes. She wanted to run to the children, but she was afraid to move. The house felt full of tension. John took another slow step forward, holding his phone tightly in his hand. He could hear movement downstairs, slow and careful, like someone trying to hide. His heart was beating so fast that he was afraid the sound would give him away. He thought about Anna and Tom again, and fear turned into strength. He continued walking toward the stairs, even though every part of him wanted to stop. Downstairs, Mark heard the sound and knew someone was coming. Time seemed to slow down for both of them. Mark looked around quickly, searching for a way out. He did not want to meet anyone in the house. He did not want to fight or hurt anyone, but the stairs were the only path, and someone was already on them. Mark's hands became cold, and his mouth felt dry as the truth became clear in his mind. The darkness felt smaller now. John reached the middle of the stairs and stopped. He could see a shadow moving in the living room. His chest felt tight and fear filled his body. For a moment he wanted to turn around and run back upstairs, but then he thought about his children again. He stood still and spoke, his voice shaking but clear. "Who is there?" Mark froze when he heard the voice. The sound was calm, but it carried fear and strength at the same time. Mark slowly stepped into the light, raising his hands. "I don't want to hurt anyone," he said, his voice shaking. John did not move, and his eyes stayed on Mark. Emily watched from upstairs, holding her breath. The children listened from their room, frozen with fear. They heard adult voices downstairs, but they could not see what was happening. Tom held Anna's hand tighter, afraid that something bad would happen next. Anna tried to stay calm, even though her heart was beating very fast. The house felt like it was holding its breath. Fear filled every room. No one moved. John slowly reached for his phone and called the police, keeping his eyes on Mark the whole time. Mark did not run because he knew that running would make everything worse. They stood there in silence, waiting, while the minutes felt very long. The sound of police sirens finally broke the quiet night. Mark closed his eyes, knowing the night was over for him. John felt his legs grow weak with relief. The house began to breathe again. When the police arrived, the tension slowly left the air. Mark was taken away without a fight. Emily ran to the children and held them tightly. Anna and Tom cried quietly, feeling safe but shaken. The house was quiet again, but it did not feel the same as before. That night, no one slept. Fear stayed with them until morning. In the days after, the family talked about the night many times. They fixed the windows and added stronger locks. They checked every sound more carefully. Anna became more quiet at night. Tom slept with the light on for a long time. Emily woke up easily from small noises. John understood how quickly safety can disappear. The night passed, but it never truly left them. It became a memory that stayed in their minds. They learned that danger does not always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a tired man making bad choices. And sometimes one quiet night can change how a family feels forever. But they were still together, and that was enough. If you find this video interesting and helpful, please give me a like and subscribe.